Welcome to Feel Fluent English, where stories help us grow. Some lives become quiet without ever becoming empty. Some moments arrive so softly we almost miss them. And sometimes the smallest connections carry the deepest meaning. Stay with this story till the end. You may discover something growing where you least expect it.
The Secret Garden in Room 12. The sky in England is often the color of a silver spoon. It is soft and gray, and it smells like wet grass and wood smoke. My name is Elizabeth. I am 79 years old. For 50 years, I was a florist in a small village in the Cotswolds. I spent my life talking to roses, whispering to lilies, and making sure every petal was perfect for a wedding or a goodbye. But now my hands are stiff and knotted, like the branches of an old oak tree in the middle of winter. When I moved to Willow Creek Manor, I felt like a flower that had been pulled out of the earth. My daughter, Sarah, told me it was the right choice. "The house is too big, Mum," she said, her voice full of worry. "The stairs are dangerous, and the garden is becoming a forest." She spoke to me slowly, the way people speak to a child. I didn't tell her that without my garden, I felt like a leaf blown off a tree. I felt small, invisible, and very, very quiet. My new room was tidy. It had a bed with a blue quilt and a window that looked out at a tall brick wall. On my first night, I sat on the edge of the bed. I missed the tick-tock of my wooden clock. I missed the smell of the damp earth after a rainstorm. The hallways here were too bright, and the air smelled like lemons and soap. I felt like a ghost waiting for the sun to go down. One Tuesday morning, I was sitting in the corner of the lounge. I was watching a single raindrop move down the window pane. Suddenly, I felt a small tug on the sleeve of my cardigan. I looked down. Standing there was a girl, perhaps 7 years old. She had bright red hair that looked like a sunset and a face covered in tiny brown freckles. Her eyes were as green as a meadow in spring. "Are you the lady who knows the secrets?" she whispered. I blinked, surprised. "I don't know many secrets, dear. My name is Elizabeth." "My mom works in the kitchen," the girl said, climbing onto the chair next to me. "She says you were a flower queen. My name is Sophie, and I have a problem." She reached into the pocket of her yellow dress and pulled out a small, crumpled brown paper bag. She opened it with great care. Inside were 3 small, dry, black seeds. "I found these near the old fountain," Sophie said. "I planted them in a plastic cup with some dirt, but they won't wake up. I think they are sad. Do you think they are lonely under the ground?" I looked at the seeds. Then I looked at Sophie's hopeful face. For the first time in months, I felt a spark of energy. "Flowers aren't sad, Sophie," I said softly, "but they are very patient. They are waiting for the right moment to say hello. Can you help me?" she asked. "I want to see them breathe." We decided to meet every day at 2 o'clock. We sat by the large glass doors that led to the patio. I taught her how to touch the soil. Not too hard, just a gentle press. "The soil must feel like a damp sponge, Sophie, not a swimming pool." She listened to me as if I were telling her a fairy tale. Before I tell you about the first green leaf, I must stop and ask, where are you listening from? I am sitting here in England where the wind is cold, but your presence makes my heart feel like it is sitting by a warm fire. Knowing someone hears my story gives me the strength to keep telling it. As the weeks passed, Sophie's curiosity grew like a vine. She asked questions that made me think about my life in a new way. "Do flowers have dreams when they are seeds?" she asked one afternoon. "I think they dream of the sun," I replied. "Why do roses have thorns? Is it because they are grumpy?" "No," I laughed. "The thorns are just a rose's way of saying, 'I am precious. Please handle me with care.'" I began to tell her stories about my life as a florist. I told her the time a nervous young man bought 99 roses to ask a girl to marry him. I told her about the giant sunflowers I grew when I was a girl, so tall that I thought they would touch the moon. I realized that Sophie didn't see an old woman in a chair. She saw a library of stories. She saw a teacher. One day, my daughter Sarah arrived for her weekly visit. She stopped at the door of the lounge. She saw Sophie sitting on the floor and me leaning forward, my hands moving through the air as I described the bluebells in the forest. "Mom," Sarah said, stepping closer, "you look different. Your cheeks are pink." "I am busy, Sarah," I said, smiling at her. "Sophie and I are waiting for the marigolds. They are very shy, and we must stay quiet so they feel safe." Sarah sat down and didn't look at her phone for an hour. She just watched us. She saw that I wasn't just staying at Willow Creek, I was living there. One rainy Thursday, Sophie came running down the hall. She was holding her plastic cup high in the air. "Elizabeth, look, it's talking." I leaned in. There, pushing through the dark soil, was a tiny, bright green shoot. It was small, but it was strong. It had fought through the dirt to find the light. I felt a tear move down my cheek. It wasn't a tear of sadness. It was the feeling of seeing life begin again. "It's beautiful, Sophie," I whispered. "You did it." "No," Sophie said, hugging my arm. "We told it that we were waiting. That's why it came up." That night, I opened my floral notebook. I didn't cross off the day with a black pen. Instead, I wrote, "Today, a tiny green leaf reminded me that I am still needed. I am not a leaf blown off a tree. I am the roots that hold the stories." Now my room is no longer quiet. Sophie started bringing her friends from school. Maya, who likes to draw, and Oliver, who likes to tell jokes. We have a garden club in the corner of the lounge. The nurses brought us big pots and bags of fresh soil. We are growing herbs, mint, rosemary, and lavender. The whole room smells like a summer garden. Sarah visits more often now, and she brings her own children. We sit together, 3 generations, and we talk. We don't talk about care or medicine. We talk about the future. We talk about what we will plant next year. I am 79 years old. My hands still ache, and my legs are still slow. But when I look at Sophie and when I look at the green life in the pots, I know that I am not finished. I am Elizabeth. I am a gardener, and I have learned that as long as you have a story to tell and a hand to hold, you are never truly alone.
As I sit with this story, I keep thinking about the words it quietly gave us. Not big words, just honest ones. A whisper isn't only a soft sound. It's what we do when we care enough to be gentle. Being patient doesn't mean doing nothing. It means trusting that something good is on its way. Some things feel fragile at first. New leaves, new beginnings, even new hope. But if we nurture them, they don't disappear. They turn into a legacy, something that stays. And maybe the most important thing, no one is truly invisible when they are seen by even one companion. Because sooner or later, with a little care, life finds a way to bloom again. Thank you for staying with this story. This is Feel Fluent English, where stories help us grow.